What up, YouTube? So I had done a video on the exhaust housing. It is now all back together. When I put it back together and I went to trim the motor, nothing happened. Stuff happens now. I initially freaked out and thought that this box right here, there's two relays in here, and your trim for your trim that goes over there, your wires run out there and then they run back through here and into the boat. So I thought maybe there was a loose wire. Relay took a crap. I'm used to cars, so I went underneath the dash in the boat. There are fuses there, but all of them were good. A long time ago, someone once told me start simple, least expensive, and work your way up. So again, I'm not used to the electricals on boats, but I saw this, and this is a fuse holder. Your spare fuse goes on here. I did pull it. The fuse was blown. I put it back in. Fuse is no longer blown. So just a quick tip on a 1996 Johnson 88 Special. This is where your fuse is located, and your relays are on there, because that would have been my next step. But the purpose for this video is just quick go over that and do general boat maintenance. This is a tender for the trolling motors. If you have a newer boat, they're pretty much built in, but if you have an older boat, you can install these. This is for a 12 or 24 volt. I have a 24 volt trolling motor. We upgraded to a 62 pound thrust Minn Kota. So we installed that. This is the next thing we're installing. This is a battery tender for your starting battery. I was out a while ago and the motor trimmed up fine. I got it in the water and it wouldn't start because the battery, unless you're running the lithium batteries, they pretty much just die. When they're dead, they're dead. So we're going to install this. And then when winter comes around, because boat's garage kept, I don't need to pull the batteries out. I can just plug them in an extension cord over the winter, and both these will do their job at tending the batteries. I also picked this up. This is a pretty much like a fuel gauge, but for your battery. It'll tell you how full your battery is. It'll tell you if it's undercharging, overcharging, or low voltage. It'll send an alarm will go off. It's also an hour meter, so I can keep up with boat maintenance. A few other odds and ends. I don't get endorsements for any of these things because obviously I'm not that big. I use Meguiar's vinyl and rubber. I'll show you what it really restores boat seats, makes them look good. I also use this Mercury power tuner. It's basically for decarbing your two-stroke, because if you take care of your two-stroke, at least these 88 Johnsons will run forever as long as you keep them not so full of carbon. Just a quick show you the battery tender and a few other things. The battery tender is right under there. That's where we mounted it for the trolling motor. As I said before, my trolling motor is 24 volts, so I have two batteries jumped together. A few other odds and ends. That's a spare prop. I always carry a spare prop on the boat in case something happens to the other one. That is an aluminum 17 pitch. Hit something with that, it breaks a prop. What I have on the boat now is a stainless 19 pitch. You hit that, you hit something with that, you break the lower unit. I also keep a toolbox on board with a prop wrench, some sockets. I have a socket set up front. I also have spare spark plugs. I also keep a grease gun on board and my two-stroke oil. The other thing, before I lose myself, that Meguiar stuff really does do a good job. As you can see here, this is a 1996 Cajun fishing ski, and it does a heck of a job at making everything look new. The other project we're doing on this boat is, this is not a bass boat, so it does not have any rod storage. That, as you see right there, is a ski locker. Rods don't really fit in there, so we got these rod holders right here. We're going to mount them probably around about here. I was thinking about putting them here on the deck, because this is a flippable deck. You can use this for a casting deck, but then they hang out the back of the boat. So we are probably going to mount them there. Only downfall is the rods sit vertical. So that's going to be one of the other projects we're going to do here. A few other things on boat maintenance is, if you have a two-stroke, use many different oils. Again, this was my dad's boat. He used Super Tech for many years, which is, again, in my opinion, crap oil. Ames oil is my favorite. It is very expensive, but in my opinion, it is a very good oil. The Quicksilver and the Pennzoil, from what I researched, is not too bad. It's a little cheaper, but I try to stay with the synthetic oils. So that is all part of, obviously, boat maintenance. Like I said, spark plugs, decarbon the engine is all part of boat maintenance. The other thing that I will also do, not in every tank, I will run Evinrude and Johnson Carbon Guard. Again, it helps the motor not stay so full of carbon. The last thing is, this is a lower unit pump. So when you're changing the lower unit oil at the end of every season, that way if you have any contaminants in there, you drain it out and it doesn't sit there all winter. You basically find the correct oil for your boat. This would be it. This is your gear lube. And you essentially, it's very simple. And I will actually do a video of actually draining it out. I don't do many videos of actually doing stuff, but this is your vent and your filler indicator. That is a flathead. You take that out first, and then right down here is your drain. Make sure the motor is vertical so it all drains out. Then when you're ready to pump it, you thread this in the bottom, put that in your container, and you basically pump it until it starts coming out of this indicator hole. Once it comes out of the indicator hole, you put that screw in, you quickly remove this and put the other screw in the bottom, and that is essentially how you do lower unit oil. Always make sure that the magnet that you had is cleaned off, because that most of yours are magnetized. At least on an 88 Johnson, it is magnetized. So that is another maintenance tip. These straps here, I always make sure I replace every so often, because obviously you don't want your boat flying off. The last thing that I will say needs to get done on this boat is these tend to eventually need to be replaced. So I'm actually going to replace this, because this is all important, along with where the boat goes up on the trailer. So those are some simple boat maintenance tips. Like I've said, I will do a video on doing the lower unit oil and winterizing the boat, putting the stable and the fuel, and fogging the cylinders, and changing the spark plugs and changing the lower unit oil. Again, that motor, the original motor for this boat, lasted 22 years before it finally took a crap, and it was not maintained greatly with the carbon, because my dad ran really crappy Super Tech in it and never decarbed the motor. So again, some people use seafoam instead of carbon guard. To each their own. I like using the carbon guard. I'm sure there's other stuff out there, but that is just simply my opinion. And again, these are some of the two-stroke oils. They also have one other. Ames oil has a lot. This is the other Ames oil, the Sabre. That's what I'm using now, but you know, to each their own. Just always remember we get what you pay for. So that is it. I hope this helped you out with your boat maintenance. I will do actual videos of actually doing the boat maintenance as the fishing season here in Pennsylvania comes to an end. So thank you for your time, YouTube.